Hello, good afternoon, and a warm welcome to News Today, coming to you live in our studios here at Kokomimli. We are also live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and around the globe at myjoyonline.com. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Coming up in this bulletin, anger, frustration, and disgust from Ghanaians as some parts of the country were plunged into darkness Tuesday evening. Minority in Parliament attributes the situation to the non-payment for gas supplied through the West African gas pipelines, as it fears a load-shedding exercise is imminent. Committee bring plot to oust IGP, recommends prosecution of 3 police officers, among others. We have details of a draft copy of the committee's report, which Vice Chair says the committee has made additional inputs for review. Chief of Seniase and Kontihene of Brekum invites the CEO of Sementia Learning and Development Farm to a meeting over a notice from the Traditional Council to relocate his goats farm due to an age-old custom forbidding the rearing of livestock in the community. The multimedia group, in collaboration with the United States Agency for Global Media, begins a series of community showing of JoyNews' Poisoned for Gold documentary produced by Erastus Asare Donko with Samero Boy in the Western region this weekend. And Shea Filer ends Guinness World Record attempt on cookathon after hitting 227-hour mark. We are live at Tamale for updates. You want to stay with us for details and more, including business, sports, world news, and showbiz in this hour. Don't go anywhere. And now the news in detail. Tuesday evening's power outage in parts of the capital has sparked anger, frustration, and disgust among some Ghanaians. Many callers to the Super Morning Show expressed their displeasure, citing the lack of prior communication and explanation for the widespread outage. The minority in Parliament says the situation, which resulted in a 500-megawatt shortfall, was caused by non-payment for gas supplied through the West African gas pipelines. Its ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapo, fears a load-shedding exercise is imminent. Let us go to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where residents are raising concerns about the adverse impact of the power cuts on their businesses. Nana Boachi Dankwa has more in this report.
Recently, there has been frequent power cuts across the country. Today, we took to the streets of Kumasi to ask residents what is the power situation in their area.
I
really do experience the power cuts. It's affecting us. They should work on it for us.
How it won't be brainy say, Sheda and Maumre. Sebia say a cancer Sebia. The time to be a Basebia, be a Tuesday, be a Wednesday, be a Thursday, be a bedum nemresi, I could dream resi.
The unfortunate thing is that they don't give us prior notice before the light goes off. We have electrical gadgets which do get affected by the power outage. Our children are home and they need the light for their assignments.
Yes, I here a bit too much of Biaka say, oh, send us the light in our back crying to Omutum.
Omudu no be tell her baby no more soy. And I had dream. Well, let's say a Uruba idea. Caniano a call for me cry and shut them. Now to me so imagine
the light goes off and they turn it back on when we are far asleep. It's very worrying. We are unable to work when it goes off. Sometimes it goes off when we least expected it.
na ubunga say ya dum no na esa na a hard
be a metia etaba even no adwumre kura mu sa dum no be 4 days na say week bia umanum na be 3 times no times on be dum no omo kan kire e bia no wada ho so wo ho abeto an fon na ko esi aso kura so bia school be study say nwumre ni adade oh dia sra omo a so mo ba be dum no a on ba be dum omo kan kire ye ni ehu de be ye se touch that do Apam kura na ye eyi
Even yesterday, it went off in my area. They don't give us any notice before it goes off. They should let us know before they switch it off.
Moba move do monka mudun su wi ambaso so a ese maka bibia kire amaya kuma ba fom so a monye ntian de misra mo omenye ho adwuma maye.
So these are the responses of residents living in Kumasi. They want government to ensure a stable electricity or give prior notice before these frequent power cuts. For Joy News, my name is Nana Boachidankwa-Yadom, Kumasi.
Minority in Parliament is attributing the situation to the non-payment for gas supplied through the West African gas pipelines. Ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, John Jinapor, fears a load-shedding exercise is imminent. John Jinapor there, he joins us now. Meanwhile, Joy News has seen a...
Not because of an emergency, not because of an unforeseen situation or occurrence, but largely due to non-payment for gas supplied through the West African gas pipeline. Government was cautioned, government knew about it, there were several reminders, and indeed, even before the turn of the pipeline, government was informed. Unfortunately, the Ministry of Finance has failed to honor the promise made to WAPCO, which has culminated in the shutdown of the pipeline, resulting in about 500 megawatts of load shedding during peak and also shedding about 300 during off-peak hours. As a matter of urgency, government must pay this money. Failure to do so, I'm afraid to announce that load shedding would continue into the coming days. This is avoidable, this is preventable, and government must put its acts together and deal with the situation head on.
We'll bring you more on this story, but in the meantime, the chief of Seniase and Kontihene of Brekum is inviting the owner of a goat farm under pressure to relocate his livestock due to an age-old custom to a meeting that will provide a possible solution to the problem. JoyNews' investigation points to an ultimatum which lapsed last year, ordering residents to remove all goats from the town. CEO of Sementia Learning and Development Farm, Frederick Bene, says he has been given 2 weeks to relocate because the gods of Brekum forbid the rearing of goats in the town. But the chief of the town says he's not aware of any such orders from the traditional council. Osahene Asoma Ajimang Sabi says Sementia farms should sit with Nananom to look at possible solutions. Love FM's Erasto Sasari Donko has been following this development in Brekum and has filed this report.
Brekum, an old town in the Bono region, set up as a security post by the Ashantis. You could keep cattle, sheep, any type of bird or animal, but it's a taboo to rear goats. No matter how strange it sounds, traditional authorities and some indigents like Antebedu, who came to the town in the 60s, believe the river deity, Asiokra, cast this misfortune on whoever rears goats in the town.
Baby, Nanam Betsanaya, Yenya Zunumaya, Yenya Dinibri.
Do you think you will fare well if you rear goats in the town where our forefathers came to settle and got the name Brekum? No Brekum indigent will prosper If he rears goats, they will be hit by calamities and misfortune.
Others have been told fatal accidents occur in the town due to the presence of goats.
There used to be frequent road accidents, and Nananom consulted oracles and came to the conclusion that the presence of the goats was responsible. As for us, we don't know anything about the spiritual realm, so whatever they tell us, we follow.
We are told a recent enforcement of the custom led to many removing their goats. Some are not happy with the directive.
Seriously, I am not happy with the directive to remove the goats from the town. I used to rear goats, and I have gone bankrupt after we were forced to remove the goats.
That is a very, stressful moment for us at the moment.
One of the affected is Chief Executive Officer of Sementia Learning and Development Farm, Frederick Bene. He tells JoyNews he's been given an ultimatum to move his over 250 breeds of goats from the town.
In fact, when we heard this, it was a very stressful story to us, because we had never dreamt that such a tradition that has been abandoned for years will be revoked again this time as we are going forward. Unfortunately, after a series of back and forth discussion, they still insisted that we move from here and have been given a strong warning of 2 weeks to vacate. Otherwise, they will send people here to kill all our animals.
This one staring at me right now is the boa goat. It's a fascinating breed of goats. He's part of about 250 goats, different breeds, different types, brought in by Sementia farms. But will I say great investment, wrong destination? Because the town, Brekum, hates goats. This is Snase, which of course is part of 38 communities in the Brekum Traditional Council that hates goats, because Asiokra, the river deity, which is some few meters away from here, doesn't like goats. It's a taboo to rear goats. You can bring in a goat, slaughter it and eat it. You can bring the meat into town, but you cannot create this in Brekum. And that is the subject of controversy at the moment. But the chief of Snase and Kontihene of Brekum, Osahene Asomajaman Sebi, wants Sementia farms to meet Nananom for an amicable resolution.
I don't know whoever gave him that order, because we haven't met on it at the traditional council level, and that place happens to be the highest decision body for the traditional council. We haven't met, and we haven't taken any decision over his removal from our land. So I would just advise him, he should come down and let's talk and see how best. Because if the land will reject you, you wouldn't have been there by now. Like by now, we have removed you all the time. So what I'm saying is that there's still room for improvement.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Brekum, Bono region.
Illegal miners have destroyed between 40 and 50% of one of the biggest forest reserves in the Ashanti region. As part of efforts to reclaim the Apam Forest Reserve, the Forestry Commission has granted Unipower Mining Company an entry permit to begin a pilot forest restoration project. Through its reclamation consultant, Better Land Company Limited, 10 hectares of the degraded forest is being restored. Love FM's Erastus Asaredonko monitored progress of work and has filed this report.
The Apam Forest Reserve, previously a biodiversity hotspot, cultural heritage, and a high climate mitigation ecosystem, has been reduced largely to a wasteland by illegal mining. Thousands of hectares of the forest, about 40 to 50% of this valuable resource, is gone.
The Apam Forest Reserve has been under siege by illegal miners. So for some years now, I can say almost about 40 to 50% of the forest area is gone.
This has brought negative climate-induced hardship on farmers and residents of communities around the reserve.
It is the forest that gives farmers in this area rain to farm. But now, if God doesn't intervene, we will not have the rains to grow our crops.
According to experts, the soil is contaminated with heavy metals, mainly arsenic.
A typical area that we shouldn't have seen traces of heavy metal, and to be specific, arsenic. Arsenic is a naturally occurring element. However, with little disturbance that we do to the soil or the land, it can come by itself.
Experts say it will take over a century to return the Apam Forest Reserve to its ecological function. But a reclamation expert is leading a number of young people employed from one of the affected towns, Odahu, to restore compartments 2, 3, 18, and 19. Unipower Mining Company has an entry permit from the Forestry Commission for the pilot project. From a degraded land full of pits and gullies, they have used the same soil in the land area to level up. They are also preserving some of the artificial water-filled pits created by illegal mining to serve as wetlands within a new ecosystem being created to replace the old one. The plan, according to experts, is to grow trees with the ability to extract poisonous heavy metals from the soil over time.
The species that we are planting, typically the mahogany species, the Ophramo, they have the ability, the potential to absorb and to uptake these heavy metals from the soil.
Now, the multimedia group, in collaboration with the United States Agency for Global Media, is starting a series of community showing of JoyNews' Poisoned for Gold documentary produced by Erastus Asari Donko with Samiroboy in the Western region this weekend. Dubbed the Poison for Gold Community Tour, the team will show the Tree version of the documentary, which highlights the negative impact of illegal mining to residents of affected areas. The event is expected to start on Friday at Forest Club in Samiroboy, which will bring together community and opinion leaders, stakeholders, and medical personnel to engage on solutions to Galamsey and its health-related issues in the area. Now, the Poison for Gold Community Tour is also supported by the U.S. Department of State Bureau of Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs, Office of Conservation and Water. Media partners include Joy News, Adum TV, Joy FM, Love FM, Insura FM, with support from Royal FM, Ahobrase FM, Velvet's Beam Radio, Tricky FM, Max FM, Asuna FM, Green Gold Radio, and TV. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko joins us now for more details. Erastus, tell us more about this collaboration with the United States. Erastus, can you hear me?
We came up with the idea of spreading the gospel about illegal mining to the communities in a way to empower them to demand that this thing stops, and to let the community people themselves know the health effects of what they are doing by polluting their water sources and the soil.
Looks like we lost Erastus there. Erastus? Okay, we'll bring you more in the course of this bulletin. Erastus, please continue from where you left off. You were telling us more about the collaboration with the United States.
Like I was saying, the United States Agency for Global Media, USAGM, and the state that oversees oceans and water bodies took interest, and they sponsored this community tour. And what we have done is that we have translated the documentary into the local language, and we are going on a road show. We are starting from Samraboy this Friday, 4 p.m. We are gathering all the opinion leaders and all the people who matter in Samraboy at the Forest Club, and we're going to show the true version of the documentary and then engage the people and opinion leaders on the health effects of illegal mining. From there, we'll be moving to 6 other communities and doing the same thing in those areas. And so that is the plan for Poison for Gold this time around, trying to empower the local communities to demand action and be able to also protect the environment from their own space.
All right, so conclusively, what are some of your expected outcomes from this tour?
So we expect that at the end of the day, the people will be enlightened, they will be educated on the health effects, and so people will guard themselves against, for example, swimming in the polluted waters in the area, especially the tunnel, from eating fish from the tunnel as well, and then from using harmful chemicals to engage in mining, and to prevent the youth and the people in the area from further polluting water sources and engaging in illegal mining themselves. They will also be empowered to know and take a decision on whether to allow people outside their locality to continue to mine irresponsibly within their own space. So in a way, we are trying to empower the local people, the local communities themselves in the fight against illegal mining.
Thank you, Erasmus. We'll keep an eye on this and bring you more details as it unravels. Moving on, details of a draft copy of the reports of the committee investigating the alleged plot to remove the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, reveals that 3 senior police officers have been recommended for prosecution. This is contained in a leaked draft report by the committee. Let's take a look at the details of a summary of the draft report and some key fact findings. The terms of reference for the committee as follows: to first ascertain the veracity or otherwise of the leaked tape, to investigate the conspiracy to remove the current IGP, to recommend sanctions to persons found culpable where appropriate, and to make recommendations for reforms where necessary. Again, the committee established the following as findings of fact based on the evidence gathered. 1, the 2 audio tapes were authenticated by the 4 key witnesses who testified before the committee. Chief Bugri Nabu, COP George Alex Mensah, Superintendent George Lysander Asare, and Superintendent Eric Emmanuel Jebi conspired purposely to remove the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, because of his alleged unsubstantiated affiliation to the NDC. The committee also established that COP George Alex Mensah lied under oath before the committee by stating categorically that he was not a card-bearing member of the NPP. The committee further established that Superintendent George Lysander Asare and Superintendent Eric Emmanuel Jebi lied under oath before the committee. And the 3 senior police officers, namely COP Alex Mensah, Superintendent George Lysander Asare, and Superintendent Eric Emmanuel Jebi, involved in a conspiracy to remove the IGP, should be referred for further investigation and possible prosecution for perjury. There is the need to review or amend Article 202, Clause 1 of the Constitution, that is the 1992 Constitution, which says Police Service Act and related legislation statuses fundamentally to secure the independence of the office of the IGP. Again, Parliament should expedite action on the enactment of the Code of Conduct for Public Officers Bill to address professional dilemmas that may lead to conflict of interest. The IGP, as head of the National Election Security Task Force, should ensure transparency in the deployment of security personnel engaged in election security management operations. And then the Police Council and POMAB should put in place a program of continuous professional training of police personnel at all levels. Urgent steps should also be taken by the Police Council towards establishment of an independent police complaints commission. Vice Chairman of Parliament Ad Hoc Committee, James Algaga, said the committee has made additional inputs into the draft copy for review. He spoke to JoyNews.
I have seen the report, which is making the rounds. What I can tell you is that the committee hasn't concluded with its work yet. But I take note of the fact that certain things said in there may not be substantially different from what we saw. But like I said before, we made certain orders that further corrections be done, and then the report will be resubmitted to us for us to take a second look. So
you are saying that what is in the media now may not be substantially different from what you have.
I have seen certain findings, certain things contained in that report, and I'm saying that some of those things may not be substantially different.
For example,
what I saw in the original draft. No, I can't give you those examples.
Yeah, so we are reading that you are strongly recommending for the prosecution of the officers involved. Was that captured in what you wrote in your draft?
No, I am not going to make those disclosures. It would be unfair to make such disclosures. I've made it very clear that what we see out there, is something that is making the rounds, and it's being put out there as a report of the committee. But we are in the stage where we only consider the draft, and the draft was supposed to be corrected and brought back.
But has the committee recommended the prosecution of anyone involved in this particular case?
I shouldn't be preempting, the outcome, because remember that when we reconvene, we're going to take a second look, and when majority of the members agree, certain things you see, which are purported to, be born out of our report, could be approved or rejected, and therefore, I think we should be patient and allow the committee to do its work.
We'll take a break, but still to come, Chef Fela ends Guinness World Record attempt on cookathon after hitting 227-hour mark. We're live on Tamale for updates. We'll be right back with details.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Inflation for December 2023 has dropped to 23.2% from 26.4% recorded in November in the same period. By this, government ended the year with an inflation figure below its revised target of 31.3% captured in the 2024 budget presented to Parliament in November last year. Announcing the figures, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim said food inflation continues to drive inflation with a rate of 28.7%, while non-food inflation saw inflation of 18.1%.
For the month of December 2023, rate of inflation on a year-on-year basis stood at 23.2%, relative to 26.4% that was recorded in the month of November 2023, signifying a 3.2 percentage point difference between the rate of inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2023 relative to December 2023. From a food and non-food perspective, we see a variation of 10.0 percentage point between food and non-food inflation, as food inflation for the month of December 2023 stood at 28.7% relative to 18.7% for non-food inflation for the month of December 2023. We saw a marginally sharper decline in food inflation as it declined by 3.5 percentage points between November and December 2023, declining from 32.2% to 28.7%, and non-food inflation declining by 3.0%, specifically 21.7 November 2023 to 18.7 December 2023. from a locally produced item and an imported item perspective, we see a reversal of the dominance of imported items as inflation for locally produced items stood at 23.8% relative to not imported items 21.9%.
Government, through the Ministry of Interior, will intensify moves to ensure that all businesses in the locksmithing and security services are licensed and well regulated. This is a move by the ministry to sanitize the system as well as save lives and properties. Head of Public Affairs at the Ministry of Interior, Alhaji Zak Musa, told Joy Business that the time has come for all businesses operating in the sector to be recognized.
The idea is to let them know that they have to follow the rules and regulations or the laws governing their operations, because there are laws governing their operations. With all this private security rubber stamp, they must register or renew their license with the Ministry of the Interior. Our record shows that some of them are not, but they are in the system operating, which is against the law. You cannot operate private security business in this country without recourse to the Ministry of the Interior. So we are calling on them, all those who have not registered. If you have registered and your license is expired, come to the ministry and renew for you to be in business, because at the end of the day, what we are doing is for the benefit of the country. And if you are not doing the right thing, then who else can you go and talk to that or ask to do the right thing? So we are all Ghanaians or the good people of Ghana doing business in this country. We are not in a monitoring exercise to sort of tarnish somebody's business or stop somebody. No, we want business to thrive. But at the end of the day, the right thing must also be done. We cannot compromise security in this country. So at the end of the day, the right thing must be done. So all these things, all these businesses, people who have not registered or renew, we are calling on them to come and renew or register with the Ministry of the Interior to avoid sanctions.
And that's it for business. I am Pius Kojo Bakadaro. Will be at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. Sports is next.
Good afternoon. Let's do sports now. On JoyNews Today with me, Muftau Nabila Abda. The Black Stars, they have arrived in Côte d'Ivoire for the African Cup of Nations 2023. The senior national team left Kumasi around 10 a.m. and arrived in Abidjan just a couple of minutes ago. 27 players as well as 10 technical team members and officials of the Ghana Football Association arrived a few minutes ago. Ghana opens its campaign on Sunday against Cape Verde, where the senior national team will be seeking for a good start to win the African Cup of Nations for the first time since 1982. Ghana hasn't won the tournament since the last edition that they succeeded, which was in Libya in 1982. And the country, after 42 years, will be seeking to win it. The Black Stars had a dinner with the president, which was a farewell dinner in Kumasi. He wished the team well and asked them to earn the country's weight to lift the ultimate crown. Meanwhile, still a story that has to do with the African Cup of Nations. Andre Onana, he has now told Cameroon that he will not be available for the opening game of the Cameroon national team in the African Cup of Nations. Per media reports, he will play the game involving Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur before arriving. He was expected to arrive 24 hours before that game against Guinea, but now he says he's not going to be available for that game. So Cameroon will have to start the campaign without the services of Andre Onana. Let's wrap up with some athletics, where Ghana Athletics, they have announced that there's going to be an invitational tournament for inter-schools, which is going to serve as the platform for discovering talents for this year's African Games. My colleague Elon Benai Defiamakwa was at the launch and comes through with this report.
The launch of the National Inter-Schools Athletics Championship took place on Tuesday afternoon, January 9, at the Sports Ministry Conference Hall in Accra. Some 50 schools and 1,500 athletes will be selected to participate in the NISAC Athletics Festival. The event is to serve as a test run on the new facilities at the University of Ghana ahead of the 2023 African Games.
We want to do the school sports just like how Jamaica does their school sports, just like how Americans are doing their conference, so that it has a worldwide view. We also want to be that program to be the topmost program in Ghana and in Africa. And together with the stakeholders, the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Youth and Sport, National Sports Authority, we should be able to get to that feat. And I do not have any doubt in my mind that within the next 4 years, Ghana athletics should be on top of African athletics. And we are going to use this competition as a test competition for the African Games facility in Legon. Before that, the Mundo might have finished the installation of the tracks. We are going to use that one as a test for the tracks. And after that, then we'll now proceed to the African Games campaign.
Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf was also excited about the event.
Last week, I was in Koforidua with His Excellency the President of the Republic to commission the first stadium, which comes with athletics tracks. And Team Ghana for African Games were there to practice. Aside that, the other 9 sports stadium which is built, we have just scheduled the commissioning date for 5 more, and the other 4, we are hoping that we complete them as well this year, so that we have more tracks, not only in Accra, but across the country. Like previous speakers mentioned, sports, as we all know, is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Aside the competition itself, is going to bring a lot of economic activities at the various centers where these championships are going to be held going forward. And we are also working with the local organizing committee chair, who is here with me, and the National Sports Authority, the Deputy Director General is here with me, and also with my team, my Chief Director, who is also here with me. We are working around the clock with the AU to position Ghana as the Africa city, Accra, especially Accra, as the African city for sports for 2024.
The Athletics Festival is set to kick off from February 5 to February 9, 2024 in Accra.
And meanwhile, the tracks for the Africa Games, Mundo is expected in the country to start putting them together effective January 12th, which is going to be on Friday, just on the eve of the start of the African Cup of Nations. That is your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome to Showbiz. Chef Fila has ended her Guinness World Record cookathon attempt. She hit 227 hours after cooking for 10 days continuously. Well, let's go over to Tamale where the action is happening and speak to my colleague Lois Ademi, who has been, well, for the last few days, she has been there. Well, Lois, good afternoon, and how is Tamale? How is the mood in Tamale right now?
I wish that all of you were here to see and feel the energy. I mean, the atmosphere is just full of victory. Everyone is happy. People are jubilating. We have traditional leaders here. And as she said, she has been standing on her feet for 9 days straight. And then today at 10, and she's done. She just ended with 227 hours and 2 seconds. And I've said this over and over again, that if we didn't stop her, this woman would be cooking till the end of the year and just still keep going until we beg her to come out. But yes, she is done. Everybody here is excited. People are trooping in. This place is getting full. People are not even getting seats anymore. That should just let you know how Tamale and everybody here is excited.
Okay, good. Now at least you've given us an overview of how the place is looking like. But what is next for her now that she's ended the attempt?
So what is next for her? I spoke to her team earlier, who says that she is resting for now, but she'll come out in a few hours where to speak. There'll be a press conference. We'll hear from her how the experience has been, what she went through, and just get to see what was happening there. I mean, from outside, we were saying she was fine, but what if she wasn't? So she will tell us everything that has happened. But there has been a lot of people coming in saying that they want to partner here, and the gender minister said that she is looking at creating or building a school, a culinary school, where she will head and teach many young ones who want to, enter into the culinary industry. And yes, that's what we're looking at. But as of now, she is resting, and we're yet to see and speak to her personally.
Lois, have you had the chance to speak with her?
That's what I just said, that we haven't, since she finished, we haven't had the chance to speak to her because of how everyone is here. Everyone wants to see Chef Phyla, so she's gone inside. We're trying to calm the crowd a little bit, and then in an hour or two, she'll be out. An official statement, she will talk to us and let us know the experiences and everything that has happened in it. So for now, we are waiting for her to come out.
Well, Lois, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that was Lois bringing us an overview of what is happening in Tamale. But if you are new to this is jazz music, and it is not too popular here in Ghana, but that's about to change as a new movement has been launched to help push patrons in Ghana. Well, the Ghana Jazz Foundation, launched in Accra over the weekend, wants to make Ghana a destination for jazz. Well, this is what happened at Plus 233.
Music originated in the African American communities of New Orleans, Louisiana in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with its roots in blues and ragtime. It has been recognized as a major form of musical expression in traditional and popular music since then. Some jazz music enthusiasts have linked it to positive health benefits such as lower blood pressure and assisting with chronic pain conditions. Listening to jazz music can help people relax and reduce their heart rate, which can especially be helpful for those who suffer from hypertension or other cardiovascular conditions. In Ghana, there's now a movement to encourage Ghanaians to patronize it. The Ghana Jazz Foundation, launched in Accra over the weekend, will seek to make the genre more visible and patronized in the country. Adrian Odoye is president of the Jazz Foundation.
Jazz music it's a difficult thing to push worldwide. But the thing is, once you are very good in jazz, you can play anything else. So we'd like to look at that pinnacle and see where you can get to. But we're not limited to just jazz. We're looking at all art forms. Music literacy is not as high as we would like, and it's one area that we'd like to look at. There are quite a number of people who like jazz. The difficulty will be to push it beyond that group and see how it'll work. But yes, I mean, it's something that we are passionate about and we are prepared to work hard towards.
Musica President Bessa Simons is excited about the development and is already looking forward to making Ghana a destination for jazz music for international tourists.
This foundation means a lot to us as Musica, because we have a lot of talent in Ghana with only talent, and we think anything that will add knowledge to talent is so important. And it's not only just adding knowledge to talent, at the same time it's going to cater for some of the welfare of musicians that not only Musicians Union could do. Having the International Jazz Day in Accra will be a massive boost for the music industry in Ghana. Not only the jazz musicians, but every musician will benefit.
And this is good news for jazz lovers. One of such who's celebrating his birthday today. Ikram Mustafa, happy birthday to you. And Sweetie, over to you.
Yeah, I was expecting to see you in Tamale. What are you still doing here in Accra?
Well, we left it for Lois,
yes.
and finally, she is being able to hit 227 mark. Wow.
Congratulations to her. And that's how we end for Joy News today. On Joy News, your home of independent, credible, and fearless journalism. Keep watching.